What is going on, everyone? Welcome to our Monday Night Football edition for Week 3 of the NFL. We have two games on the slate for our Monday Night Football slate this week. We have Jaguars at Buffalo Bills and the Commanders heading to the Cincinnati Bengals. The battle of the two LSU Heisman quarterbacks. I'm very excited for that matchup. Our first matchup, though, we will get into is the Jaguars heading to Buffalo. Like I said, Buffalo a 5.5-point favorite. Buffalo Bills are, let me see, my screen went away here. I don't know what is going on. Let's see. Bills are a minus 250 on the money line. Jaguars plus 200. Over under at 45.5. Mackie, you already have a play locked in on this one. Tell the people what it is.
Yeah, I locked in the Jags a few days ago. If you're not following our Twitter, all plays that we lock in a little early, you will see on there. So if you guys want to tell that, just make sure you're following our Twitter. But I'm big on the Jags here. And in week 3, a lot of teams that start 0-2, you see them kind of overachieve in that third week. You saw it a lot already. You saw Colts 0-2, got an outright win. Giants 0-2, got an outright win. Rams 0-2, got an outright win over the Niners.
The week 3 is the week of desperate teams that need a win to push themselves in a position to, push for a playoff spot. And I know what you're about to get into. I like the Jaguars in this spot, but go ahead, give your reasoning on it.
Yeah, I'm big on the Jags here. I think it's Monday Night Football game. You're going to see a close game. It's prime time. I'm going to go with Trevor Lawrence to have a big game here. I think and Etienne on the ground, I think he gets in the end zone as well. You might see Josh Allen struggle a little against that defense. I'm going to go with a low-scoring, close game here. I'm going to go with the Jags plus the 5.5. Worth the sprinkle on the money line. I wouldn't push it, though.
I kind of agree with you on this one. This one, I mean, not to allude to our second game, I lean both of these underdogs on the Monday Night Football slate. And anytime I get two games where I love both underdogs, I immediately start thinking, okay, do I tease these two spreads? Give me the Jaguars plus the 5.5. I might tease it up. You can get 11.5 if you throw it in a two-team teaser with the Commanders in this next game, but we'll get into that in a little bit. I like the Jaguars for the sense of everything that you said. You look at the teams that came into today. Obviously, we're recording this on Sunday of week 3. We just got done. We're about to watch Chiefs-Falcons. The Jaguars are 0-2, heading to a powerhouse, or at least not many people expected the Bills to come into this season to be a powerhouse. They lost a lot on offense. They lost a lot on defense, or if they did whatever they didn't lose, people just didn't have faith in the Bills. They still have the second best quarterback in the NFL, and I will stand by him being the second best quarterback. I think he could do whatever he wants in this game. I like the Jaguars defense enough to contain him, to stop him. I don't know. I do lean on it being a lower scoring game, though, and that's what scares me about liking the underdog with the under. Usually in this situation, if Jacksonville were to cover this game, I like it to go under. I'm not saying the Bills. I'm not saying there's no chance the Bills run away with this one in like a 34 or a 31. The Bills put up a 30 spot, and Jaguars get like 20. Like we see an over a 45.5. I think if the Bills cover, this game goes over. If the Jaguars cover, this game goes under. Let me hear your opinion on that.
Yeah, I'm on the under as well. I just think Jags coming into this spot, it's a great spot for them. I thought the line would have dropped by now. I got it at 5.5. It's still sitting at 5.5. I thought we would see around 4.5 at this point. Line looks to be
still 24 hours by the time we're recording this. This could move, yeah.
Last 24 hours are always the most important. But this is going to be a good game, good Monday Night Football game to start our 2-game slate on Monday. So give me the Jags plus the 5.5.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think this will be a close game. I lean Jaguars plus the 5.5 just for the fact of the hungry 0-2 team. I think the Jaguars personally, they start 0-3. Are you calling for Doug Peterson's job? Like they just paid Trevor Lawrence all this money. They just they brought in Gabe Davis. They gave Christian Kirk all the money last summer. The defense is not bad. I wouldn't say the Jaguars have a bad defense. I wouldn't say they have a good defense. I'd say they're right in the middle of that pack in the AFC, kind of where I expected them to be at the end of the season in the standings, like a bubble team. They could get in, they could get bounced out. I kind of view them the same way as my Steelers, and I'm very realistic about my Steelers. Could be a spot in, could be a spot out. I think the Jaguars are in that exact position as my Steelers. Obviously, starting out 0-2, and the Steelers now, when we're recording this, 3-0. Can Jacksonville pull this one off? Like, how much faith do you have in them to actually win this game? Ignore the spread, ignore the odds. Can Jacksonville pull this one out and win a huge game in Buffalo on Monday Night Football?
I think it's a pretty important one. I think Trevor Lawrence has a lot riding on this, and ever since he found a way to make the playoffs out of nowhere 2 years ago. The last year they had a lot of high hopes. They let the Texans come out of nowhere and take their spot. Pretty underwhelming season. They haven't really got back to their roots since then. And
That's a good point.
You're going into Houston in the following week. So you start 0-3 going into Houston, obviously the division opponent that you really want to beat. You could be looking at 0-4 there, going into another opponent. Going into another divisional opponent at the Colts in Week 5. So this is a pretty big game. I think
obviously, and I don't want to cut you off, but like Houston, by the time we're recording this, Houston coming off a loss today in Minnesota. Like I said, we're recording this on Sunday. Houston coming off a loss in Minnesota. They're 2-1. If the Jaguars can find a way to pull this one out next week, we get Texans-Jags. Do you know where that game is off the top of your head?
In Houston.
Still a divisional matchup.
I'm going to say it's a must-win tomorrow.
I think it's must win tomorrow too, because if you lose this game, I don't like your chances to go to Houston and get a win. If they get a win and come into Houston, they come into Houston 1-2. This will be like I'm gonna guess the spread 4.5-point underdogs. I don't think they'll be as big of underdog. I think they're bigger underdogs in Buffalo than they are heading to Houston. Exactly. 4.5 point. Give them take the point away. I like the Jaguars possibly to win this game. Not a look-ahead spot. Obviously, you're going up against Josh Allen. Like I said, the second-best quarterback in the NFL. I like the Jaguars in this spot. You already posted it. I'm probably going to get it out tomorrow. Yeah, Jaguars. I like the under as well. We will get into our second game. The Washington Commanders heading to Cincinnati. Like I said, Joe Burrow versus Jaden Daniels, two LSU Heisman winners. Going against each other in the NFL in Week 3. Commanders 1-1 coming into this game. Bengals obviously 0-2. Bengals are a 7.5-point favorite on Monday Night Football. Over-under is at 47. Bengals moneyline -350. Commanders +280. Is there any chance, do you have faith in these Commanders to hang around? I know I kind of already alluded to. I like the idea of teasing the Jaguars, teasing the Commanders. I think you'd get, what would that be, 11.5, 13.5 with the Commanders. Like,
yeah,
I love these two games to be close. And in the first one, I like the underdog to win. I obviously love, I'm a big advocate of, even though they're the underdog, take the points. They're giving you them for a reason. I like teasing these two underdogs. Is there a reason I should be staying away?
I'm just going to go back to the 0-2 teams, and, it hits at like 70%. So
it's a good point.
Bengals going in here.
Especially at home, prime time.
Must-win situation. This is a game you kind of really need to win. I think you could see a really good game out of Joe Burrow. Jamar Chase getting kind of back on track. I was thinking about teasing it the other way. Sitting at 7.5, tease it down 6 points, get the Bengals at -1.5. Should cover that against the Commanders at home. Primetime spot could be a closer game. You could see a lot out of Jaden Daniels this game. He's been playing pretty well to this point. He doesn't have a ton of support, but
2 rushing touchdowns in Week 1. They kind of. I don't think he had one in Week 2. Am I correct?
I don't know. I'd have to check that.
I don't think he. I'm gonna speak on what's on the top of my head. I don't think he had one in Week 2. Who'd they play last week? Commanders, Giants. They had all the field goals. They scored 7 field goals. They didn't have a touchdown last week.
Didn't have a touchdown.
Jaden Daniels 2 touchdowns in Week 1. I look for him to get back in the end zone. I look for Brian Robinson to get in the end zone. Maybe not both of them. Obviously, this team isn't, that elite or even at the level of good, and like you can have faith in them to score this many points. I like one of them to score. If you can get both of them at plus money, obviously Jaden Daniels is going to be plus money, probably 250, 275 anytime, which is crazy. Obviously, he doesn't get the respect yet because he's a rookie. I like him to run one in. I like Brian Robinson to run one in. I do think the Bengals will win this game. I just like it to be a close matchup. I think they're going to make a big deal, LSU Heisman versus LSU Heisman. I know you heard Ace mention that on the live stream this morning. I mentioned that on the podcast this week about this being a primetime matchup. 2, LSU quarterbacks. Obviously, you got Jamar Chase in the situation that he's dealing with. Is there any situation where the Commanders steal one here and the Bengals start 0-3? We just saw what the Ravens did going to Dallas. Bengals are home. Just in my opinion, me and you, Ace isn't here. Me and you both picked the Bengals to win the AFC North. I'm a Steelers fan sitting here at 3-0. I got to say that as many times as I can before they get their first loss. Steelers sitting at 3-0. Bengals sitting at 0-2. As a Steelers fan, betting aside, what can you tell me that, you think that there's a chance the Bengals start at 0-3? Is there any chance?
As simple as it is, it's not going to happen. This is and if it does, then the Bengals are cooked for the season. But this is 100% a must win. It's a must win situation for the Bengals, and this is a team that should 100% be fighting for the AFC North title at the end of the season. Obviously, bumpy start. You drop a pretty tough game to the Patriots in week 1. Obviously, it was a bloodbath last week against Kansas City. Probably should.
And we've seen them do this before. This isn't anything we've seen them not do.
They're going toe to toe with the reigning Super Bowl champions. It was a 4th and 30, I think, 4th and 25. Pass interference call is the only reason they lost that game last week. This is a must-win situation. You got to expect Joe Burrow, who is probably still a top 4 quarterback in the NFL, to get the job done against this pretty. I'd say a weak Washington defense.
What's crazy is right now, obviously, like I said, I love emphasizing the Steelers 3-0 coming off that win. I was there. Great win. Great team win. Bengals going into tomorrow night are 0-2 heading in against this game against Commanders. Ravens get a huge win in Dallas today. Obviously, like I said, I've emphasized this. We're recording this on a Sunday Night Football before the Chiefs and Falcons game. It's crazy to me that the two of the top 4 quarterbacks that like unanimous top 4 had a chance to start the season 0-3. Obviously, Lamar and the Ravens step up big today. I'm not saying the Commanders are going to steal a game tomorrow, but I was big on the Cowboys today. I'm going to be big on the Commanders tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to bet it. I do lean on teasing them up. I know you said you lean on teasing them down.
I think it'll be good.
I think neither of us have faith in this true 7.5 point spread. Like anyone can cover that 7.5 point spread.
It's a prime time. It's a primetime 7.5 point spread. I'm not going to have faith in it. I think either way you go.
I agree. I was going to say
1.5, 13.5. I think you'll be good either way. I think
I was just going to say I don't see them losing by 13. I don't see the Bengals losing this game.
Yeah, I think the Bengals should definitely take care of business tomorrow. If they don't, God bless them. But
God bless their season. Their season's over.
And God bless me for taking them.
I mean, like, actually, let's look at this. I want to see the Bengals schedule after this because obviously I know my Steelers don't play them until, like late in the season. Steelers don't have any divisional games until later in the season. I want to pull this up and see what the Bengals schedule is.
They go to the Panthers. They go to the Panthers week 4.
All right, so there's their first one.
Aren't as bad as they were.
If they lose this game,
Andy Dalton he looked good today.
Is that a revenge game? Is that a revenge game? Andy Dalton against the Bengals, a former team he took to the playoffs?
I'm not going to say the Panthers are going to beat them, but I'm not going to say it's a wash for.
Did you watch any of that Panthers game today? I just kept checking the score. I was like, damn, dude. Like
Andy Dalton had a sick touchdown pass to Adam Thielen, and I was like, Bryce Young would never make that throw. But it was an elite throw. It was honestly an elite throw that you wouldn't expect a backup quarterback. I know he's a veteran. He's been in the league for a while. You wouldn't expect a backup quarterback to make that throw.
I was going to say, I've backed up Bryce Young. I've defended him in the past, year and a half. I think he was the prime example of, he was at a very good college team. Did he win a national title? Yeah, he did, right?
Who?
Bryce Young at Alabama.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think they won, right? Or no, they
2020?
lost to Georgia. He lost to Georgia. That was the game where Saban was sitting in the press conference and he like grabbed Will Anderson and Bryce Young and he was like, without these two guys, we don't get it. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I think Bryce Young, I think this was a perfect scenario for him. I think this is better for him to sit down. I don't think the Panthers are going to jump the gun on moving on from him. I think they just need to – I think this is what he needed from the beginning. That team isn't good. You're setting him up for failure, putting him out there on the field with that offensive line. But I know they have options at receiver, Deontay Johnson, Adam Thielen, Xavier Legette. They have options, whatever you want to call that, options. But, like, this team is better built for a guy like Andy Dalton to come in there and just play simple football. Run the ball on first down. Get it to 2nd and 4. Get the first down. Like, I didn't watch this game today, so I have no clue how this went. Raiders defense isn't much of a task, I guess you'd say, but no one expected anything out of this Panthers team. Like, and they come in and get a huge win on the road.
33 points. Something
I was going to say, like, they haven't scored I don't think they've scored a touchdown all year before this.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Andy Dalton coming in and doing what he did says a lot about Bryce Young. You know how I feel about Bryce Young. I think I think he should be out of the league at this point. But I guess he could sit there and try to learn something from Andy Dalton here. But They look
and low key, like it's not the worst guy to learn from. Like Andy Dalton, you look back on his career with the Bengals, like playoff. I know he lost every time in the playoff, but like, yeah, he found a way to just maintain being a starter. I don't hate what the Panthers are doing. Not to, you can go back on a game that already happened today, but a boring ass game. I did say that during our live stream, Panthers Raiders. That was a snooze fest, even though the Panthers come out on top. But you heard our takes for these Monday night games. We got 2 games on the slate. Bills, Jags. We're both on the Jaguars. Mackie already locking in the Jaguars at +5.5. I'm not sure if I'm going to lock in that +5.5, if I'm going to lean on a teaser. And then obviously we have the Commanders and the Bengals going at it in Cincinnati. Commanders a 7.5-point underdog. Make sure you're staying tuned to our social media to make sure you know what we're locking in on our official cards. You should make sure you have your post notifications turned on as well. But other than that, check Twitter, check TikTok.
Chains, baby.
We appreciate it.
Kirko Chains, Falcons 7-0.
I was just going to say Mackie has the Falcons on Sunday Night Football. Who scored the first touchdown? I didn't take anything on this game.
London.
Dude, he looked good last week in Philly, and now he's leading into it today with against the Chiefs. That's all we got. 2 games on Monday Night Football. Definitely gonna have some plays out between the 4 of us. Make sure to stay tuned to our social media. Turn on the post notifications. We appreciate it. We will see you for Week 3 analysis or Week 3 recap plus Week 4 analysis on Thursday for our podcast. Other than that, thanks for listening, and we will see you on Thursday.